In this first edition of the Vendée Mag, highlights of 3 very busy weeks in Les Sables d'Olonne, celebrating the 10th Vendée Globe. A closer look at the 60-foot IMOCA yacht designed for round-the-world racing. And we'll be reviewing the race's early route choices with weather expert Christian Dumas. In late October, 40 of the world's top ocean racers sailed up Les Sables d'Olonne Channel and docked at the Port Olona Marina, 3 weeks before the start of the 10th Vendée Globe. 40 sailors of 11 different nationalities, 34 men and 6 women from 23 to 65 years of age, preparing to set sail on an incredible solo, non-stop, unassisted round the world on 60-foot sailing yachts. One skipper, one boat, alone at sea, an unparalleled race and the ultimate challenge. Starting and finishing in this channel, in Vendée, France. Every 4 years since 1989, the winter season has seen Les Sables d'Olonne become the nerve centre of ocean racing, with the town living in sync with the Vendée Globe and welcoming visitors from all over the world. The Vendée Globe is a very popular celebration, though in 2020 the global pandemic prevented the public from fully enjoying the event.
3, 2, 1, et c'est fait!
On sent combien ils étaient impatients.
We can sense how eager they were to be here and to meet the public.
Nous allons avoir un public.
I hope we'll have a wonderful turnout over these 3 weeks and that there'll be meaningful interactions with the skippers during this lively celebration.
Une fête populaire et les skippeuses et les skippers.
The village had to live up to such a big event, the Everest of the Seas, the biggest race in the world.
For 3 sunny, festive weeks, countless visitors have enjoyed immersing themselves in the world of ocean racing.
Franchement, c'est joli à voir, quoi.
A temporary 30,000 square metre village was erected on the quays of Les Sables d'Olonne for the occasion. An immersive, engaging and educational space showcases the Vendée Globe, its 40 skippers, the course, its legendary history and sporting achievements, the human endurance and the accidents at sea. Both entertaining and informative, the Positive Initiatives area highlighted the social and environmental commitments of various partners, associations and sponsors. For the 10th Vendée Globe, the race organiser, as part of its drive to preserve the oceans, set up the Vendée Globe Foundation Endowment Fund to offer financial support for projects, actions and scientific research focusing on the sea or its fauna. This initiative aligns with the race's partnership with UNESCO to accelerate ocean protection and deepen our understanding of the seas, the domain of sailors. 25 of them will take beacons, sensors, buoys, floats and weather stations aboard. These will collect essential data for scientists, particularly in remote areas of the globe, to improve our global understanding of the climate and the ocean, as well as weather forecasts.
Je vais embarquer cet instrument.
I'll be using this instrument throughout the race to collect small seawater samples and measure various factors such as temperature, salinity, oxygen and CO2 levels. It's great to sail around the world, but if we can do something to help in our own way, well that's even better.
Mais si en plus on peut rendre un petit peu service, un petit peu à notre échelle, eh ben c'est encore mieux.
Race partners and the sailors' sponsors also take advantage of these social spaces to meet up with clients or employees, connect with potential prospects and collaborate on future projects. For the Vendée Département, it's also a venue for its economic players. The sunny weather made this time in the village very enjoyable, vital for the sponsors' promotion, development and a positive return on investment.
This is roughly the layout of his cockpit.
Careful, you're entering the red area. You're 300 nautical miles away.
Sailors are constantly searching for additional resources, as outfitting an IMOCA is costly. Over the 9 races since 1989, the Vendée Globe has become an institution. It is still a formidable challenge, one that seemed unattainable for the 13 initial races in 1989, but today it inspires 40 skippers who are ready to take the plunge. The former Vendée Globe winners are best placed to describe this incredible adventure.
The Vendée Globe's like a hard drug. The Vendée Globe's legendary reputation is due to the race's course. The race is so long and the conditions so unpredictable, that's what makes this race so special. I think that Vendée Globe stands out because it's not just about sport. Everyone realizes that it's about someone setting off alone on a boat to sail around the world, and that's what makes this race so popular. Sailing around the world on an IMOCA is a big deal. The rush of adrenaline you feel on the day the race starts or in the Southern Ocean, and the satisfaction when your boat's perfectly tuned and flying at full speed. All the contenders, whether you rank at the finish or not, when you finish around the world, you've lived through some amazing stuff. Shit happens every day. It may be minor, it may be massive, and every day you have to deal with this shit, because there'll be more tomorrow. There are definitely times when you're completely alone, having to make incredibly tough decisions. We do everything ourselves, so when things go wrong, it's down to us, and when things go well, it's because of us. And that's something you need to be able to manage, process, and control for the 2 to 4 months of the race. Broadly speaking, ocean racing is a race with yourself, against yourself, and of course against other boats and other projects. But that's the beauty of racing. Today's Vendée Globe is not quite the same as it was 30 years ago. It's developed into a highly competitive event, but we know that now and then it'll be disrupted by or punctuated with the occasional people-centered ocean adventures, both big and small, and that's what's so magical. I think that in 2012 or 2016 there were 4 or 5 of us who could have won the Vendée Globe at the start. In this race there are a good 10 or more. You want to relive this sort of adrenaline rush, and today I can't think of any other race than the Vendée Globe that gives me that feeling. I'm doing it again to experience these powerful feelings. It's all about what goes on in your head, and the winner of this 10th event will be the one who wants to win most and who will push their limits furthest.
Remportera cette 10e édition.
He may never have raced in the Vendée Globe, but Sir Robin Knox-Johnston will forever be remembered as the first person to sail non-stop around the world single-handed in 1968 in the Golden Globe Challenge. He was the only person back then to complete the race in 312 days. Present in Les Sables d'Olonne, the trailblazer shared his admiration for what the Vendée Globe has become.
But that's great. It's going to be very interesting, but I think this race has got a fantastic future because I think it is very well done, and I think the IMOCA Open 60 class is developing in an exciting way, which means people say, look, come on, this is the race I want to do. This is the one that gets my sponsor the best publicity. Great encouragement to everyone.
All the Vendée Globe boats are prototypes, and their design and construction are governed by the IMOCA class rules. They are a framework of standards within which architects and engineers can innovate. These monohulls measure a maximum of 18.28 metres, with a maximum beam of 5.85 metres, a 4.5 metre swing keel with a bulb weighing 2,500 kilograms on average. The foils that look like big whiskers on either side enable the boat to rest on the water and to lift off, reducing water friction and minimising drag. Older boats are fitted only with dagger boards, i.e. they cannot fly, so they are slower than foilers. The mast stands at a maximum of 29 metres and can carry up to 4 sails simultaneously. Sailors can take a maximum of 8 sails on board for the race, and they must adapt their sails to make the best use of the wind conditions. One 150 square metre mainsail, which can be reduced by lowering it on the mast, referred to as reefing. A headsail, ranging from 140 square metres for a J1 to 50 square metres for the J3. These sails are used for upwind points of sailing with a compulsory storm jib. For downwind points of sailing, up to 300 square metres for a large jenniker and 375 square metres for a spinnaker. At top speed, the boats can reach 40 knots, or over 70 kilometres per hour. The The Vendée Globe course has remained unchanged since 1989. It starts and finishes at Les Sables-d'Olonne, with no other stops en route. This time, the organizer has introduced 2 biodiversity protection zones around the Azores and Cape Verde. Scientists have identified these areas as important migration and breeding grounds for large cetaceans and other marine mammals. Roughly 24,000 nautical miles with a few no-go zones, the course passes via the 3 capes: the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa, Cape Lewin in Australia, and Cape Horn at the tip of South America. There is an ice exclusion zone around the South Pole and Antarctica to keep the competitors safe from the risk of collision with icebergs. The record time for the Vendée Globe course, 74 days, was set by Armel Leclerc in 2016. The 10th Vendée Globe will be an adventure, but also a true naval racing battle on a worldwide scale. Never before have we had such a lineup of competitors with such high standards, with many legitimate favourites and even more outsiders in a position to race the perfect race and perhaps climb onto the podium or even win this exciting, if uncertain, 10th edition.
All the sailors that are focused on performance set sail full speed ahead. I'm not convinced that running full throttle in the Vendée Globe would work from the start to the end. At least 20 boats are capable of a podium. For me, it's exciting to know that there are going to be maybe 15 or more boats with the potential to win. It's going to be exciting to experience this from the inside. One thing's for sure, the race will be tough, probably even tougher than in 2020. It's going to be really hard to maintain a high level of performance for skippers and boats over the 80 days, so it's not over until it's over. The outcome of the race is never written in stone. Even if the start of the race isn't exactly what you'd hope for, nothing is predetermined. Remember, the race is extremely long. 2 things. 1, it's great to be one of the favourites because it means you've been working hard. But being a favourite doesn't give you extra points or miles. The example of Yannick, who won last time, speaks for itself. I don't think anyone had put much money on him, and in the end he came out on top.
Adventure is shaped by chance, and for these 40 talented skippers, the course will be influenced by weather, unforeseen circumstances, damage, and race incidents, regardless of the achievements or merits of the sailors. 4 years ago, with 48 hours to go, 5 sailors could still win. This could be the case again this year, with even more contenders. So let's take a closer look. 7 skippers stand out from the pack, either because they've won the last transatlantic races or because they've frequently made the top 3. On the latest generation of boats, they've all shown an ability to raise their level of commitment on the circuit over the last 4 years. And they all have the expertise. But we all know that this isn't always enough. Charlie Dalin, Thomas Rouillon, Johan Richomme, Jeremy Bayou, Boris Herman, Sam Davis and Sam Goodchild are the 7 well-known favourites who will set the pace as soon as they cross the starting line. If the reliability of their boats doesn't fail them, they should be in front. But how long for? We don't know, as such a long race demands humility.
The Vendée Globe is a race by elimination. If you don't understand that, there's no point in going.
Behind them, a group of outsiders, including Nicolas Lunven, Paul Mela, Justine Metro, Damien Seguin, Sebastian Simon, Louis Burton, Yannick Besthaven, and Maxime Sorel, who have little to fear. These men and women could show the world who they really are in this Vendée Globe and lead the race, as they all have what it takes to be at the head of the fleet. Still, among the foilers, a last group of solid sailors will seize the slightest opportunity offered by the leaders. The daggerboard boats will also have a tough race on their hands, and, depending on the weather on their route, their speed deficit might not be a complete obstacle, or could even enable them to hold their own against the foilers, as in 2020. Jean de Cam and Eric Bellion, who've built 2 new boats with straight daggerboards rather than foils, are gambling on this. With old boats, Violette d'Orange, Tanguy Le Touquet, Louis Duc, Benjamin Ferret, Sébastien Marseille and Guirec Soudet will compete in a high-intensity race for their first Vendée Globe. Some skippers are here to live the adventure of a lifetime, where competing around the world will be the greatest prize. Belgian Denny van Weenberg, the 57-year-old former company manager, is one such example, as is Szabó Csores, the distinguished Hungarian triathlete. Or Chinese sailor Zhu Jingkun, who lost an arm at just 14. Or Swiss Oliver Heer, Alex Thompson's former préparateur. Or Antoine Cornic, who sold his restaurant to return to sailing full-time. After 2 weeks of PR and media commitments, with a hectic schedule of photo shoots, interviews, encounters, autograph sessions, boat visits and presentations of their adventures.
We're going to be alone for 3 months, so right now I'm enjoying being with the people here.
It's great to see real people and not just a number of clicks or likes.
After living like rock stars. As the start draws nearer, the skippers look to step back from the limelight, to relax and recharge their batteries.
We try and do this before the Vendée Globe because it'll soon be upon us. We're about ready so we can relax, but you have to stay focused. We're making the most of this time, so it's great.
Meanwhile, crews continue working on the boats. They disinfect them to avoid taking unwanted germs on board, make final checks,
All set to sail around the world.
and take what, for 3 weeks, have been like works of art in a great floating museum and switch them back into race mode.
I can't set sail without my team's input. This project just wouldn't happen. Given the boat's size, we need a sound team that's up to the challenge, or we'd be stuck right here in the channel.
The ultimate challenge before setting out to sea is the emotional roller coaster that the 40 skippers will go through as they go down the channel in Les Sables d'Olonne.
I'm a bit apprehensive about that. What I really dislike about racing is the day before or the actual day of the start. I get all stressed and worked up. But as soon as I cross the line, I'm as happy as can be.
They all dread this moment of intense feelings, the fond farewells to family and friends, and, like gladiators entering the arena, the descent of the channel before the cheering crowds.
C'est vraiment un truc que j'ai envie de vivre.
I'm so looking forward to that moment. I really don't want to miss out. I want to feel the emotions and then recover quickly afterwards to focus on the start.
Pour concentrer sur le départ.
Again, I don't really know what to expect because the last race start was COVID. This time it's going to be different. It will be more distracting, I think. But the thing that's different this time is that my friends and family will be there. Last time they were not there. I was entirely alone.
Every week in this section, we'll bring in an expert, some of the sailors who've won in the past, and this week, Christian Dumas, to try to shed some light on the race we're all about to start following. Christian is with us now. Hello, Christian.
Hello, Francois.
You're the race's weather consultant. The good news that has everyone relaxed on the pontoons is that on the face of it, the conditions seem very favourable for the start.
Yes, absolutely. We're expecting little to no wind at the starting line, so good conditions with the wind set to strengthen gradually in the evening, but no strong winds in any case as they leave the Bay of Biscay.
So the skippers will easily find their sea legs as they transition from land to sea at a race start with a northeasterly wind, something we haven't seen since 1989. That means downwind conditions.
Yes, that's right. The boat should be setting off with the wind on the beam or downwind, so with the wind coming from behind. This means easier sailing conditions, and so less swell since the wind is coming from ashore. So yes, little swell offshore.
And in terms of strategy, everyone's going to be looking to change course fairly sharply off Cape Finisterre, I think.
The idea is to start out a little to the west for the moment, to look for a little more wind, because there's very little wind on the coast, so it's best to head west. And then a variety of tacks. To sail all the way to Cape Finisterre, they'll need to round Cape Finisterre quite close hauled. This is yet to be determined. And then dive south to the Canaries.
Et puis ensuite plonger vers les Canaries dans le sud.
Does that mean that to pick up the trade winds, we're going to stay with the downward conditions as far as the equator?
Exactly. The leading boats could have a fair wind until the equator, in any case up to the doldrums. Once in the doldrums, the winds can be erratic, but we could have what we refer to as Portuguese trade winds along the coast of Portugal, so a northeasterly. So a leading wind, then the trade winds to the doldrums.
Portant par la suite donc l'Alizé jusqu'au poteau noir.
A rather comfortable start then to the Vendée Globe. Thank you, Christian Dumas. And to bring this magazine to a close, I'd like to introduce you to the people without whom these 3 weeks would not have been so idyllic. These are the volunteers from Les Sables d'Olonne. Short ones at the front, tall ones behind. Full brigade.
The Vendée Globe volunteers are the folks in red that you see on the walkways and at the entrances. And they're generally people who live locally.
I'm the mascot's escort.
Nous sommes 382. La moyenne d'âge des 382.
There are 382 of us with an average age of 67. We have a young girl of 22 and 2 or 3 who are still working. Otherwise, I think we'll be 69 on terms of average age. We'll have completed around 5,200 4-hour shifts rolled out over 35,000 hours.
Et déployé environ 35 000 heures.
Your security? Here, it's €1 a pop. No, €5. Didn't you see? Oh, it doesn't matter.
Are you not asking for a kiss too?
I'm scanning badges to check that folks are entitled to access the pontoon with their pass. It's a difficult job, but as I'm very smart, I manage.
The role involves welcoming, checking and informing visitors. It's mainly information and questions like, where are the toilets? Well, that's a favourite. It's probably actually the most asked question.
Right-hand queue, please. This is for passes. You need to keep an eye out, but a smile works wonders.
This year we volunteers from a bit further afield in the west of France and a guy from Quebec who signed up at the last minute. His dream was to do the Vendée Globe, so we took him on, and he cheers us up with his tuneful and slightly peculiar accent.
Good morning. At the race village they call me Francois the Canadian. I've come from Quebec especially to volunteer for the Vendée Globe. I'm often down here at 8 or 9 a.m. to walk along the pontoons, just to live the experience to the full.
Vive l'expérience à fond. Je m'amuse. Tous les jours.
I'm having fun. Every day. I managed to get some time off so I could come and spend my days in the Vendée Globe village. It's my passion.
Au village Vendée Globe. Puis j'espère bien.
And I hope to be back in 4 years' time.
Ça doit être tellement dur.
It must be so hard. I take my hat off to these men and women who share their dream with us. Bravo!
Chapeau.
On Sunday morning, the 10th of November, the 40 competitors will leave dry land in Port Olona to open an extraordinary chapter in their lives. The start gun will fire at 13:02, and after 4 years of build-up, the adventure of the 10th Vendée Globe will be underway at last.